Welcome, Carolyn, and thank you for joining KPDSB to talk to us about Mystery Science.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here today. You all should have access through the end of June. I can share that link when we're done, Michelle, so if folks haven't created an account, you can do so. It takes about 30 seconds. So my name is Caroline. My email is up on the screen, just caroline@mysteryscience.com, so feel free to reach out anytime. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit what is Mystery Science, and we'll get into our two types of lessons, our mini lessons and then our full-length lessons. So Mystery Science starts with the premise that kids are born curious, right? Like I'm sure you're familiar, they're always asking you a million questions about the natural world around them, but that curiosity is also something that needs to be nurtured. You know, we often hear that kids decide by the time they reach middle school whether or not they like science, and by then it can often be too late. We also have the multi-subject elementary school teacher in mind. You know, we know that you're responsible for teaching so many subjects, math, ELA, social studies, now like diseases and epidemiology. So we know that it can often be hard to find time for science at all, especially with so much of the emphasis on math and reading. So really at the forefront of everything we do at Mystery Science is we want to help kids stay curious, and we wanted to create a program that was as easy as possible for teachers to use. So while I'm thrilled to be here today, even if that wasn't the case, you could go on to mysteryscience.com, choose a lesson, press play, and start teaching hands-on engaging science for your students. We're currently in about 30,000 schools, and we're really excited to be branching into Canada this year. We've been working a lot with Toronto, and so yeah, just excited to be here. I want to spend most of the time in the site, but just to kind of help you frame how we think about this site, we try to meet teachers wherever you're at. We know that certain weeks or days you might have no time for science. Some weeks you have a little more. So we have our mini lessons, which are about 5 to 10 minutes in length. They are no prep, so they are truly open and go. And they're often great as a supplement, or like I said, those days when you just don't have a lot of time. And then we have our core curriculum. So these are about an hour in length per week. They are fully narrated, and they are aligned to your curricular outcomes. So with that, I just want to jump into the site. So this is Mystery Science. When you log in, you'll see these 3 tabs at the top. I'm going to start with our mini lessons. So these are short weekly episodes. They come out every Sunday night. They answer a real student question. So students will submit a question via this Ask Doug button at the top, and each week we'll release a new episode where we do a FaceTime with the student who submitted it. And our narrator and founder of the program, Doug, constructs an explanation and uses some really fun videos and stunning visuals. So I'm going to pick, we have about 200, by the way, so there's a really deep archive. So if there's ever a topic your students are curious about, chances are there's going to be a mini lesson that touches on that subject. So I'm going to search for one because it's from a while ago, because it does feature a Canadian student. So I thought that would be a good one. So this one is called How Do Earthquakes Happen? Just tell me if you don't hear my sound.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Doug. I have a question for you. How do earthquakes happen?
Ooh, that's a great question. When an earthquake happens, it happens very suddenly, and things can get scary. I didn't grow up anywhere that had earthquakes, but now that I live in California, I've definitely felt a few. This footage I'm showing you can give you a sense of what an earthquake is like. The whole ground beneath your feet is moving. Everything around you starts swaying back and forth.
So I just wanted to give you a little taste, but you can see, you know, Doug talks to kids like they're kids. So these are great, like for a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon, you know, just like a fun weekly ritual to do with your students. They also have some bonus activities, and at the end, students can vote on what they want us to answer next week, which is always a lot of fun. We do have, are you all a Google Classroom district, I assume, since we're using Google Meet right now? Yes, okay, great. So we have a direct integration with Google Classroom. So with a click of this button, you can assign this mini lesson out to your class. You can save it as a draft or assign it right away. And one of the great things about Mystery Science is there are no student accounts. So no remembering passwords, no rostering. Probably the easiest way to share is that Google Classroom button. But if you ever wanted to use a different LMS or for whatever reason, just share us a link outside of that, you can click that Share Student Link button, which was right below the video, copy, and this is what students would see using that link. So this is what it takes them to, just super simple screen, no extra navigation, no distractions, but they do have full access to the video that way. We've also added some extension questions to get students sort of like writing or thinking about or doing an activity about what they've learned. So if you are using these for remote learning or for homework, you do have that accountability measure. So very briefly, those are our mini lessons. I'll pause here to see if there are any questions about those before I get into our full-length lessons. And Michelle, you can let me know if I miss anything in the chat. But otherwise,
for sure. Go ahead.
Great. All right, so I'm going to jump in sort of the meat of the site, which are our full core lessons. So you'll see here, you've got all of our units on the left-hand side of the home page. More or less in grade order. We do have an Ontario curriculum alignment document, which I encourage you to check out to show how the lessons within Mystery Science fit into your curricular expectations. So based on your grade level, this has every single lesson and unit within Mystery Science. So again, that was just at the top of the units here on the left. So let's say that I am a second grade teacher. Oh, I also did want to mention US K-5 is our elementary school. I know you have sixth grade, and the alignment document does show sixth grade coverage. A lot of our upper grade units will fit into your curricular expectations. So just wanted to mention that. So let's say I'm a second grade teacher. I'm going to go into this unit, Work of Water. And here you'll see there are 4 lessons within this unit. I'm going to go into the second lesson, which is called Why is There Sand at the Beach? So all of our lessons are structured the same way. So once you've seen this one, you kind of know how they all work. Here at the bottom, you can see we've got a video-based exploration, and that's broken up with discussion, a hands-on activity, and then a short wrap-up at the end. So I will show you how we start off and introduce one of our lessons. So I'm just going to push play.
Hi, it's Doug. Have you been to a beach before? If you've ever been to the ocean, then you've seen a beach. People of all ages love beaches. Some people like to lay in the sand and the warm sun. Some people, like myself, love to build sandcastles. Now, I don't know how much you've thought about beaches, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, very few places on Earth have so much sand like this. As soon as you walk away from a beach, there's not sand there. It's usually grass.
So as you can see, we set it up with like a really personal storytelling. So get kids engaged. We introduce every concept, assuming students might not necessarily have any background knowledge or context of this. So that's how we set up the lesson. And then Doug will go on to introduce this phenomenon of a purple beach. And so you'll get kids thinking like, why is the sand purple? What's up with that? And then once you reach the end of this video, which is only about 2 minutes in length, you'll click the arrow and there'll be a discussion question. So this is where you as the teacher would facilitate the discussion, ask your students, why do you think the sand is purple? And these questions will always be open-ended. So we really want to encourage students who maybe aren't the most confident in science or raising their hands to feel really comfortable offering their ideas. And so while you as the teacher are facilitating the discussions, as you can tell, kind of all the scientific heavy lifting is done by Doug, the co-teacher. We know that not everyone's a science expert. I certainly am not. So you don't have to worry about being super prepared or ready to answer any questions students might have. It's really, you're really supported throughout the lesson. So there'll be a few more videos. And
so how? But if
another discussion question. And basically, Doug will go on to explain that rocks and boulders start way high up on mountains. They get swept into rivers. They roll downhill and bash into each other, getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they end up as sand on the beach. So now that students have that understanding, they will start doing and engaging with the hands-on activity. So I will show you how we introduce the activity portion of the lesson.
In today's activity, you're going to be a river. You're a river that starts high in the mountains and ends down low in the ocean. This river roars and pours and rumbles. It knocks big rocks loose and sends them tumbling. You're the kind of river that makes big rocks bash into each other and break. Now, since we don't want bits of rock flying all over the place, the rocks you'll be breaking are made of paper. You'll start with some great big boulders at the top of a mountain. When a rainstorm comes that makes those big rocks roll, you'll tear your paper rocks, ripping them in half and sending them down the river. You'll have to act quickly. The rainstorm doesn't last long, so a timer will let you know when to stop.
So we think that's like a pretty good introduction to an activity, but that's just the overview. We know it can be daunting to run a lab for a classroom full of students. So once you and the students sort of have a basic understanding, like, okay, this is the framework of what I'm going to be doing, we scaffold it even further by breaking it down step by step by step. So I will show you sort of how granular that gets. So students would form a team, they would get their supplies.
Get your supplies. Each team needs one set of these things.
So you can see super simple everyday supplies, in this case, just construction paper and worksheets.
Notice the number on the top of each page. Put the pages in order from 1 to 5. Then you'll have your river.
So as you can see, the steps are narrated, there are visual cues, and then my favorite part is those cues will loop soundlessly. So if you're in person, you can circulate, support some students who maybe need a little bit of an extra hand. We know it might take second graders a minute to put 5 pieces of paper in order, or if students are working at home independently, you can feel confident they're going to have really clear directions. It also makes it great to return to this activity at a later date if you don't finish it during your class time. So that is the hands-on activity. Like I said, there'll be a wrap-up at the end to connect a few more dots. I'm going to point out just a few more extra features, but I want to stop there and see if there are any questions. And I also realized I didn't ask if you all are in person or remote or hybrid. Seems like maybe some people were at home when they had their videos on, but Michelle, can you let me know?
Looking at the list, I think these are all in-person teachers. But if there will be people who access it that are teaching virtually. And I actually know that some of our virtual teachers are using the pilot right now, because I got a couple of emails about that. I actually probably got 10 emails of teachers who said they'd been using it throughout this school year. So that's awesome.
That's so great to hear. So I will reference the great distance learning features, since it's pretty self-explanatory how you would use this in person, but here's a little bit of an overview of what you're going to be doing. It lists your supplies here, and I can adjust this toggle with the number of students in my class, and it'll populate the number of pieces of paper you need. Just like with the mini lesson, you have the ability to share in Google Classroom or any other LMS. You can email parents. We've written out an email for you, say, here's what we're working on in science this week. Here's how you can extend it at home. And then we have these extensions. So if you're looking for like more of a literacy tie-in, we have additional readings through Newsela, Epic, and ReadWorks mainly. We have assessments, both at the unit and the lesson level. Additional prompts, we have transcripts in English and Spanish. So if you ever have a little bit of extra time, those are great. I do want to mention that all of our supplies are now, our worksheets and our assessments are available digitally. So they're in Google Forms if it's a worksheet, and they are in Google Docs and Google Sheets if it's a worksheet, and then Google Forms for the assessments. You can see here, it gives you some adaptations if students are working remotely or if they're in a socially distanced classroom. So if you can see, like, here's how I might tweak it a little bit for that scenario. You can also see how other teachers have been using the lesson. There's 16,000 reviews for this one. So it's kind of like a recipe on Bon Appetit or something. You can see like, hey, I used this instead of this, or here's how I extended it. So we really value teacher feedback in that way. That is the hands-on activity. I'll point out just a couple more things on the homepage, but I'll take one more pause here in case anyone needs me to review something. No?
I don't see anything about review, but before you finish up, can I ask you to cover two things, the Ontario curriculum alignment, and as well if there is a way to favorite videos that you've used.
Yes. So unfortunately for the second part of that question, there's not right now, but we have a lot more resources at our disposal this year. We were recently acquired by Discovery Education, and they are a much bigger organization and team. So we're building out. Our two big projects are building out every single lesson in narration in Spanish, and then doing a whole site redesign that's going to make everything really discoverable, and hopefully will give the opportunity to save playlists and personalize your account a little bit more. So good question. I'll point out the Ontario curriculum alignment again at the end. I just wanted to point out, we did create these no prep activities, both because they're distance friendly. They are no tech, no prep, no supply, but I think they're also kind of a good intermediate step. Let's say you've been using the mini lessons, you feel really confident with those, but you don't feel ready to go into the full hands-on lesson. These are a great 45-minute lesson that do have a hands-on activity, but you're not going to have any supplies or anything like that. So that was the no prep activities. I also just want to point out our distance learning guides. So these are, again, just at the top of the home screen. This was something we built out last spring, where basically I'm going to go into second grade again. Oh, there are no lessons in French. I just saw that question. I was a French major in college, so that is definitely on my wish list, and I'm sure is very relevant to our Canada partners. So these are our distance learning guides. We have basically color-coded every single lesson on the site with how adaptable it is for remote learning. So green means good to go. Purple meaning you just want to adjust the number of supplies. Yellow means the activity would probably be better served if you do a demo as a teacher, just because it's a little bit messy or something like that for students to do at home. And then red, we suggest substituting the activity altogether, and we do offer suggested alternatives for that. So again, that was our distance learning guide. Also, I know you're going to have a recording for this, but if you kind of just want a quick refresher of a lot of the things we've talked about today, at the very bottom of the homepage, you'll see in gray this Getting Started link. So it has a great distance learning video from my coworker, Polly. It has just a general getting started training video, so basically what we talked about today, but in 3 minutes. It does have all of our curriculum alignments, and we have recently added Ontario here. I'll go back to that again and show you a couple places you can find that. And then if you wanted to print out all your PDFs for the year, that's something you could do as well. Oh, I actually will point out this because I just really like it. Our supply calculator is great. If you want to say, I'm a teacher, I'm prepping for the year, I'm a second grade teacher, I've got 15 students, you can generate all the everyday supplies you're going to need if you want to do all the hands-on activities. And you can either do it for the year if that's super overwhelming, you can do it by unit or just by lesson. So again, the Ontario curriculum alignment is just going to be here right next to your units, hyperlinked. So if I go into my grade level, you'll see the strand, the topic. This column is going to be, your curricular expectations and which unit or units best align to that particular outcome. And it was also on that Getting Started page that I showed at the end. So I know that was super quick overview. That was like 19 minutes. I'm sweating a little, but does anyone have any questions? Want me to redo something, go a little bit deeper? Just let me know. If you need to go, great. And I'm happy to stick around a few minutes.
Caroline, you know what? You did exactly what we wanted you to do, which is just give us the glimpse of the potential, so we know what's there, and then we have access to each other. And I can email you if my teachers have, or my colleagues, they're not my teachers, if they have questions. And in 20 minutes, that's a dream for a teacher. PD in 20 minutes, I love it.
Great. And I am dropping my email in the chat as well as the join link. It was just hard for me to post while I was presenting, sorry, but you're basically just put in your email, pick your school, and you shouldn't ever need to log in again. You should just be automatically authenticated once you've done that one time. And thank you so much for setting this up, Michelle.